There's a reason why the tricolon is such a rhetorical icon, is so important. The tricolon, these three little phrases put together, like even three little words, Veni, Vidi, Vici, said Julius Caesar. I came, I saw, I conquered, and that's not likely to be what Rishi Sunak's going to do, even with the help of somebody like Isaac Levido, who is the man who is charged with bringing the Conservatives victory at the next general election. It won't happen. Isaac Levido is apparently obsessed with Belgium bicycling. But, you know, if you want your niche interest, that's a niche interest, I suppose. He's compared the race to the next general election for the Conservatives to the sort of race which would happen in a bicycle competition. The path is now a bit narrower and a bit steeper, but nevertheless, it is negotiable if you have a clear goal and if you can stop the infighting, all the sort of bike toppling. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm afraid the thought of an election victory is a bit of an oxymoron now. A Conservative election victory is an oxymoron because I don't think even the focus of a general election is going to stop the infighting and stop the obsessive tribalism. There's not just tribalism generally in the UK at the moment. There's this spirit of tribalism. You see it on the internet, you see it in Parliament, but there's tribalism within the tribe. And that's the problem. It's fractious. And whether it's migration or whether it's about the fact that the 5 priorities are not being dealt with. 5. This is the point. 5! What a ridiculous thing is 5. 5! 5 digits on your hand. Well, even Disney realised that was one too many. And so Disney reduced the fingers down to 3. Because that's manageable. People can remember 3. Mickey Mouse can remember 3. Nobody can remember 5. 5. Even Sunak needs a prompt to remember what his 5 promises are. I can't remember them. I don't care. I know that one of them is supposed to be migration, and I think that's wrong. These 5 promises, that's not what's going to... Keeping the 5 promises is not what's going to win Rishi Sunak his election, because no one knows what those 5 promises are. What will win Rishi Sunak an election would be a cessation of the infighting, a focus on people rather than on themselves, and maybe a return to core values, which is about making sure the economy works, which is about making sure that people have an opportunity to do their own thing. And none of that is happening. The economy is not working, and people feel cowed by the weight of society. And I think the post office scandal only reinforces the fact that we no longer have control of our life. So whether you have a smart strategist, which apparently Isaac is, or not, whether you have somebody who can deal with polls, who can interpret polls, or John Curtis of the Conservative HQ, it doesn't really make any difference. This is another person brought in from Australia with some sort of solution. Well, it might work for Australia, and it might even indeed work for the UK. A lot of things that come from Australia do work very well. Australia knows what it's doing. But I'm afraid the issue is we don't know what we're doing. And Brexit has added to that confusion. It's added to it. When you talk to Australians, you get the feeling that there is dynamism and focus. When you talk to Brits, you get the feeling that we don't know what we're up to. And we can't embrace somebody else's gung-ho spirit of can-do if we don't have our own spirit of can-do. We can observe, we can admire, but we can't adopt somebody else's can-do. That's Australian can-do. The Australian methods work very well in Australia. Christmas Island works in Australia, but partly because Australia doesn't have the constraints of the international treaties of which we are a signatory. In fact, we were the founding father of the 1951 Refugee Convention. Australia isn't bound by a lot of that. Australia is a bigger island nation. What works in Australia doesn't automatically work in the UK. What works in the UK wouldn't automatically work in Australia. And we can go on. We can go on. Isaac Levido is also a great slogan maker. I think he's the person who came up with Boris Johnson's "Get Brexit Done," but it doesn't mean anything. Brexit is Brexit. Doesn't mean anything. These are slogans. He might as well be selling Heinz beans. Stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives. It doesn't mean anything. The only reason that is significant is because it's a tricolon. You can't remember 5 things, you remember 3 things. It doesn't matter what those 3 things are. Put them together and you're famed for inventing a slogan. All you're doing is repeating Julius Caesar. I'm afraid I don't see Isaac Levido, no matter whether he's one of the best campaigners around, or whether he's given license or not given license to run the campaign as he sees fit. Who cares? Isaac Levido is trying to give life to a dead dog. I'm afraid there just comes a point where you have to shrug and say, sorry, it's time.